Hello, Saber fans. This is going to be a special video. This is going to show you how to set up your Bohr's NeoPixel 2.0 Asteria soundboard the way you want it. So the first thing that I recommend doing, here's a look at all my Saber stuff. Quite a bit of it. And let's go ahead and look at the Bohr's the way it comes. So if you pop out your SD card, make a copy of it wherever you want to your desktop, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to have 12 banks. Here where your music files, your music tracks will be under BGM. Your system files. And if you take a look at them, here are all the names. And this is the way it comes from the factory. I've replaced these. They work, but they're not very sexy. And I'll show you mine. The color matrices are here. And your blade effects are classified here. Here's the files. You have to unzip them. But let's just go look, and let me tell you how this works. So bank 1 is a Darth Vader font from K-Sith. And if you took a look at it, here's your bank switch, and this is what will determine when you switch to that bank what it will say. It's a Plector-based system, however, it is named differently. And you do not have to rename your files. So let's take a look at the hum. So here's the audio for the hum, and this is the actual blade effect. And it's very subtle. Most people won't realize this, but this blade effect actually increases the brightness slightly when you swing the saber. So, very Darth Vader-ish. And out of the box, let's take a look at bank 2. And you'll see that here's the blade effect, 5FT. And that is more or less like a flame effect. So let's continue on here. Here's bank 3. This is Vengeance, also by K-Sith. And this one has a different effect, 2FT or 3FT. And of course 1BG, which I told you already was a pulsing effect as you move the saber. So, and these two will activate based on whether you're holding the saber up or down. So those are the 3 sound fonts that the saber comes with, and they're multiplied many times, 4 times, with different blade effects on each bank. So my suggestion is that you move through the saber, you move through each sound bank, and you actually determine which blade effects you like. Because some of these aren't really blade effects that we would use for typical Star Wars canon, but they're neat nonetheless. So this is the way that it comes. Now this is the way that I have it set up. And again, you can just throw this on another SD card. No big deal. And you'll notice that there's actually 4 more banks available to you, other than 12. So you can go up to bank 16. And if you look at the tracks that the original came with, there are none. And if you look at the tracks that I've added, there are approximately 13. And these are sound fonts that I've purchased legally and own the copyrights to, and I'm not trying to sell them. And these are the original tracks from the original composer of Star Wars, in which case I've encoded into audio tracks that I can use legally, providing I don't sell them. obviously. And you can do this as well. And I use the program Audacity. Very good program. So let's go back to the modified version. So I already covered where your music tracks are. And I've adjusted these to suit my style. So I kept Bank 1 as a Darth Vader, Bank 2 is Rey, and Bank 3 is a Kylo Ren font. And then I've added, of course, Bank 13, 14, 15, and 16 with smooth swing fonts that I've either purchased or had from other Sabers. And a lot of it's a conglomeration of all of it. In any case, I set up Bank 13 as Daddy Issues from Fours. And this is a font that I purchased because it's absolutely amazing. And I put it in a README file, give the guy credit because he spent a lot of time making this. And I very much like it. And let me just go through here each of these folders and what you need to do in order to get this to work. So in here, you'll see that these files are your audio files, and there's 4 of them, along with 2 blade effects. This is a blade effect for a localized flash, and this is a blade effect for a splash effect. And how you're holding the saber as you're doing it will affect that on your secondary button. Same thing with the clashes and the effect. Here's your tip drag and the effect. Your hum and your effect. Your in, which is basically in Plector language, power off. And there's 2. Your lockup and the effect. Oops. Your power on, which essentially is as the blade goes out. Most people won't have this. This is a cool feature the Boris has. If you don't have a NeoPixel blade in it, it will show you the blade colors, etc. Because it has a simple LED. They're not very powerful, but they work very well for helping you set it up. Here's our stab sounds with blade effect. And here's what's different. Okay, so dealing with smooth swing, we have basically 4 pairs of highs and lows here. And these you'll have to rename. The other folders you don't have to rename, but these you'll have to rename in order to get it to work right. And just like you see it, swing 1 high, swing 1 low, swing 2 high, swing 2 low, swing 3 high, swing 3 low, etc. So let's go into Bank 14, which I've added. And this particular one is the Negotiator by Fours, which is a Obi-Wan Kenobi font. And it is a polymorphous sound font, which means that it also has audio clips, which he included to make it more immersive. Of course, this bank switch is the typical hello there from Obi-Wan as he drops down on Grievous. And the same thing here. 4 blaster audio files along with 2 different effects, a localized and a splash. Clash effects here with, of course, the blade effect. Tip drag, hum, power off, your lockup, power on, your stab, and your swings. And of course, this one is also a smooth swing. But I will tell you this: this is a font that I downloaded from Plector Labs website, and it is not optimized for smooth swing. It does work, but it isn't per se optimized like Daddy Issues. You'll notice that a lot of the sound font creators have recently been updating their sound fonts to be optimized for smooth swing. And if your smooth swing is too quiet, there's a couple things going on. One, it could be an earlier font that is just not optimized for it, or two, there's some volume setting in your particular Saber. But I'll tell you that the newer sound fonts that you download that are optimized for smooth swing will have 4 to 8 pairs. And in this Saber, you do have to rename them. They'll be called something different, of course. So taking a look, here's how it comes. Here's how I've modified it, including with soundtracks, etc. And I haven't done a whole lot with the color matrices, and I haven't needed to because they're set up very well from the factory. They have 2 sets of each color and different flash colors, colors, etc. And it works well. So I don't think there's a real need to dig in here too much. I mean, I can show you how it works, but it's a little bit more complicated dealing with text files, etc. One other thing that I had to do is the clash sensitivity. And there you have it. So if you notice that your clash sensitivity on this particular lightsaber is a little too hard, meaning you have to apply too much force, under each particular bank, when you go to the effect, you'll see there's a clash strength. The smaller the number, the more sensitive. So this is turned down 1. Originally it was 5 on each of these, and turning it down 1 is really, it does a lot to help in that manner. So you'll have to set that up for each bank. And that's basically how you do it. Now, I will tell you this. Keep in mind, and let's go into Audacity. Let me show you this. This is the program that I basically use to edit all my audio. And let's bring in a specific file from, let's say, Daddy Issues, because a typical Plector board will recognize sound fonts from 22050 up to 41, or I'll tell you the exact number in a second. However, the Boar's Dragon Slayer and the Asteria 2.0 will only recognize the 22050. And let me show you that. So let me go into Saber fonts I've downloaded, and let's go into Daddy Issues. And he did include 1 track. When I downloaded it, it was $10, I believe. And let's just open the hum. So here's Audacity. It is set to mono. And if you do have fonts that are set to stereo, I'll show you how to turn them into mono so that it works properly. So there's our hum from Daddy Issues. You notice that it's at 44,100 hertz, 32-bit float. And that's all good except for this. If you try to use this in your Saber right now, it'll sound like the Chipmunks. It won't work right. So you have to change it down to 22050, right? Sounds the same, it's just a different rating. So you made a change there, right? Then all you have to do is you'll have to export it as a WAV file. Alright, and let's just call it hum dot. And you'll have to do this for every single file that is not at 22050. Or your Saber will just sound like the Chipmunks. And that's the way it is. Now, here are all your typical Plector fonts. Blaster effects. Your boot, don't worry about these too much. Here are your clash effects. Some sabers support more than others, but you'll have 16 or so. Drag effect. Force effects depends on your saber. And then, of course, you'll have here are your pairs. Your high swings and your low swings for smooth font. Now, if you have a saber that will do hybrids, here are your normal swings. So usually when you buy sound font, they come with all those. Now it's just a question of you putting it in to the correct folder of your saber. So again, let's look at the Boars folder. There it is. And let's look at saber fonts I've downloaded. Here they are. And let's look at, let's say, Unhinged. This is a perfect example. And let's say that this is a Kylo Ren font by GCS, Genesis Custom Sabers, and it's awesome. And let's say that you wanted to make this your bank 3. So, it's very simple. Here are your blaster effects in your saber. He's got 8. We have 4. No biggie. Delete these. Put these in there. Here are our clash effects. Same thing here. Clash effects. Up to 16. These are blades, so keep these in here. These are your blade effects. Don't change these. And you don't have to rename them. Just replace them. And that's the beauty of it. In each folder, you just literally find the sound you want, and it's separated by folder here. Very simple. Let's look at the hum. You find the hum. There it is. Copy it over, delete the old one. That's how you do it, guys. It's a very simple system. There is a lot more to it, but I didn't want to make a 40-minute video. I just want to show you guys how to do it based on the Windows file system. And the best thing to do is back up your system immediately. Back it up. That way, if you ever make mistakes, you can always go back, reload that on your SD card, and play around with it. Don't be afraid to. You're not going to break it. You always have your backup. You can always put that back on a fresh SD card, put it back in, no worries. And that's all I have to show you for right now. Thank you for watching. This is VFR Pilot, signing off.